well. But looking ahead to tonight's Game 7, I again just can't see the Cardinals, who have the best record in baseball history in Game 7s, losing this game.
It's definitely tonight's game is definitely a tale of two teams that both teams play very well when everything's on the line.
Well, you look at just this year alone, the Giants are 5-0 in elimination games. 5-0 this year. This isn't the last two. This is this postseason. They are 5-0 in elimination games. That's pretty good under pressure.
Yeah, I'd say I feel pretty confident about my team. I'll tell you that much. The funny thing is, when you look at this matchup, we both sat here and numerous times we've counted San Francisco out. And San Francisco continually just hangs in there and hangs in there. They're not going anywhere. They're not giving up. And I think you got a great pitching matchup with Kane and Loesch going at each other. Loesch got the best of this matchup earlier in the series. But look, San Francisco down 2-0 to Cincinnati, goes to Cincinnati, wins 3 in a row. Goes down 3-1 to St. Louis, wins the game 5 in St. Louis to get back to San Francisco. Wins game 6 to get forced to game 7 yesterday. And they're just the past 2 games they've outscored St. Louis 11-1. St. Louis has just 12 hits, which is the one thing that they've been strong on, is their at bats almost more than anything. Not to take anything away from what their pitching staff's done this postseason, but their bats have been pretty damn special so far, especially what you've seen out of Beltran. But I mean, in the past 2 games you've watched, Barry Zito on Friday goes 7 2/3 innings, giving up only 6 hits with 6 strikeouts. And then Vogelsong steps up and in his start gives up only 4 hits with 1 run and strikes out 9 in 7 innings. So they've gotten 14 2/3 innings out of their starting pitchers in the last 2 games, which is...
Well, nobody expected that type of outing out of Zito.
No, but it came.
And it came at a big time. And Vogelsong's been arguably their best pitcher all postseason long.
Yeah.
I mean, Kane's supposed to be their number 1, but Vogelsong has really been the one who's pitched like their number 1.
He really has, and he's been consistent. His last start, he pitched really well. The guy is, I think his ERA now for the postseason's below a 2. I think it's like a 1.96 now, which, what else are you going to ask from your starting pitcher? One thing that's killed St. Louis this series, though, is that they've given up 10 unearned runs. That's a lot of runs in the postseason series to give up that weren't earned, that you didn't force them to get it. Yeah, and that's rough. That's a rough pill to swallow if you're a manager, if you're as a defensive unit, as a team. That's hard to swallow, to sit there and say to yourself, if we don't do this, most likely the series is already over. And they're enjoying a couple days off before the World Series as well, instead of playing a Game 7 2 days before Game 1 of the World Series.
Yeah.
Because the World Series first pitch is Wednesday night.
Who do you think has the advantage, though? Do you think it's the winner of whoever wins this Game 7, or do you think it's the Tigers having the time to rest?
I'm going to go with whoever wins this game. Because of the reason I say that, and it's something we've touched on numerous times talking about on the show, and that is, it seems whoever plays the best at the end of the year seems to win. And now I understand Detroit played good enough to take the Yankees out in 5 games, but St. Louis and San Francisco have kept playing. So everything for them is still rolling. They don't really have that mindset of, oh man, I can't wait to put my feet up for 5 minutes and just relax. Like, we got to keep grinding. We got to keep grinding. We got to keep grinding. And we're not done. In comparison to Detroit, they've had time to watch games. They've had time to do this. They've had time to do that. And don't get me wrong, I could see that having its advantages as well. But I like the team that's played, that keeps playing, I guess you would say. I actually think that's a great question. So I'm going to make you answer it too. Which team do you like advantage-wise?
I like the team that's whoever wins this Game 7 as well, for a lot of the same reasons. I mean, I just think that you're more in tune to playing. You're you're already in that season daily grind. I mean, you know it's the end of the year. You're pushing hard. Having that long layoff at this time of year, when you're so used to playing every day, kind of takes away from you. It does. It kind of... Because as much as you could say, yeah, you can go out and simulate games, yeah, you can go out and practice, yeah, you can go out and scrimmage, the thing is you're not going 100% in those games. You're not taking real at-bats in those games because the whole time you don't want to get hurt. Nor does Jim Leland want any of his, you think that he wants Miguel Cabrera out there going crazy?
Yeah.
Shagging fly balls? You can end up... Look at Mariano Rivera at the beginning of the year. Shagging fly balls, you step the wrong way, you twist an ankle. Now, granted, that can happen with him just walking down a hall, but you don't want to add the risk. And I think that they're doing a lot of resting right now. And it could come back to bite them because they might end up starting this series slow.
And I don't know if that's... Well, no, I do know. That's not something you want, not in the World Series, especially with... if you think of Detroit in their World Series history, the last time they were in the World Series, it was the same situation where they were expected to be the better team, and they weren't when the series was all said and done. And right now, what I think a lot of people are missing on is you're having a great 7-game series against the last 2 World Series champions. And a lot of people forget that fact that the last 2 teams that win the World Series are who's playing right now in the NLCS. And I understand that they're not the biggest market teams when it comes down to, national appeal. But the simple fact of the matter is, these are the 2 teams that have won the World Series the last two years. And I think it's almost appropriate that it's gone down to a Game 7. And I think when you watch these 2 teams play each other, you can tell the type of, how do you say this? The type of intensity and talent both these teams have. And they are not just rolling over for either one. San Francisco being down 3-1 could have easily came out and laid an egg like the Yankees did. It being down 3-1. They could have just been like, we're done.
Had to throw that little dig in there?
I did. I'm sorry.
Had to throw a little salt in there?
I did. But, Now, I do want to say, though, I think that tonight's game is going to be a great game. I'm interested to see how well Kane and Loesch pitch. They have...
The big question is, though, who wins?
You know what? Screw it. I've picked against San Francisco.
I'm still picking against you. I cannot pick them. I can't.
This whole time I've picked against San Francisco, and they've constantly said, ha-ha. So I'm going to pick San Francisco to take Game 7 in San Francisco behind Matt Cain. That's what I'm going with.
One of us is going to be a winner here because I got to go with the Cardinals still. I cannot. The one game I picked the Giants, the one game Lincecum started, he laid an egg. The one game all series long I pick, the whole entire playoffs, I pick the Giants, and they lay an egg. When I don't pick them, they seem to win. I'm picking the Cardinals. I think, again, the experience of winning last year, they've been here before, they've done it. They take it home, they get the win. Cardinals. I'm calling it.
You're calling it?
I'm calling it like I've called it since Game 4. It should have been over then. It'll be over now. Cardinals.
All right, and I like San Francisco, and we'll get our answer tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you think that with the Tigers having this extra layover, do you think it affects them with as hot as they've been down the stretch and as hot as they were in the playoffs and as good as they've been? Do you think the layoff is going to affect them? Because they're going to have at least another 2 days off because they're going to play the NLCS Game 7s tonight. And then they're probably going to have a day off for at least travel. And then the World Series is going to start. So you're looking at, they're probably not playing for what, almost a week?
Almost a full week, yeah. I think like 6 days.
When was the last time that a baseball player's had almost a full week off? I mean, it has to have been around the All-Star break, but even still, that wasn't a full week. You may have played a game on, say, Saturday, but the All-Star game was Tuesday, so, and then you didn't play again until Wednesday or Thursday. So, I mean, you might have a 5-day layoff, but this is the longest layoff of a baseball season. How do you deal with that? How do you keep your team focused and ready?
I think it's a positive for the pitching staff. I think it's always a good thing to get those arms a little rest. They're only throwing, maybe simulated situations, 2 men, whatever it might be. But I think for the bats are your real issue. I think the bats are where you're really going to be worried if you're a Tigers fan. Are they going to be able to, Cabrera? I mean, especially considering how they looked in the final Game 5 against the Yankees. The bats were swinging. Cabrera had a home run.
This is what happened to the Tigers the last time they got this deep and made it to the World Series. What was it? I forget what year it was. I mean, 2008 or 2000? Either 2006 or 2008 back
I
when
think
they made it.
2008. I think it was a little more recent than 2006.
That's what I thought too.
But I actually think that's a good question, and I'm curious to know. I wish we had phone lines because this is a perfect situation. That I'm trying to put it up on Twitter about our Tiger fans. Are you worried about the idea of having such a long break?
We should have our phone lines back hopefully at some point this week. Is what I'm thinking. So, and then we can hopefully take a call or two. But until then, we're going to throw it up in the chat if anybody in our chat has an opinion about it as well.